Hello. Yeah, I will try to convince you that COT monitoring is a promising approach to mitigating misalignment risk. But let me start with a story. 10 years ago, at the dawn of deep learning, we believed that the path to agents is going to be through those black box deep neural networks trained to reason in high-dimensional vector spaces. In that world, we would only be able to supervise and evaluate those models by looking at their behavior, but we would have no insight into their cognition, such as calls, beliefs, and plans. But we were lucky. We somehow ended up with models trained to understand natural language and post-trained to reason in natural language before taking actions. And I just wanted to highlight that it was very far from clear that this is going to be the path to general purpose AI agents. And this offers a great opportunity for AI safety, and we should try to seize it by doing COT monitoring. So what do I mean by COT monitoring? A COT monitors any kind of automated system that reads the COT of a reasoning model and flags any potentially harmful interactions. And by harmful interactions, I mean something like reward hacking or exploiting flaws in the specification of desired behavior, sabotage, or intentionally inserting bugs or in generated code or some flaws in produced artifacts, falling prey of prompt injections or malicious instructions embedded in untrusted data, or sandbagging, which is strategically underperforming in evaluations. A fun fact about this slide is that those speech bubbles are actual quotes from actual reasoning models from those papers that we cite. So the idea is that if an agent is going to reward hack, it's going to tell you in natural language it's about to reward hack, and you can read this. It's not so simple in practice. We know that COT is not always faithful, but in many cases that we actually care about, it might be faithful enough. And there are two powerful reasons why we might expect COT to be monitorable in practice. The first one is that agents will need to externalize their plans in COT to complete them. So a specific claim that I want to make is that for sufficiently difficult tasks, transformers must use legible chain of thought as a form of working memory. And here we condition on tasks being sufficiently difficult, by which I mean that an agent needs to use COT to complete them, and wouldn't be able to complete them without COT. And indeed, some recent research from Meter and Google DeepMind suggests that faithfulness increases reliably without difficulty. So I'm not going to discuss these plots. I just wanted to leave them as pointers to this general claim that on really difficult tasks, models are often quite faithful. And I sometimes feel that the case for COT unfaithfulness is overstated because researchers focus too much on tasks where COT is not actually needed, and therefore models can get away with reasoning that's actually just performative. Going back to the claim, it's also specific to transformers as opposed to some other architectures. And this serendipitous thing about transformers is that they are inherently limited in the amount of serial information processing that can happen in a single forward pass. So if you visualize information flow through a transformer, an activation from an upper layer can only influence activations in lower layers for subsequent decompositions when mediated from visible tokens. So in this diagram, those two red circles are activations. And if you want to trace a path between them, this path will have to go through those gray rectangles, which are visible tokens. So the high-level idea is that transformers as an architecture have limitations. And because of that, for sufficiently complicated computations, they won't be able to be executed just in latent space, and they will have to involve some kind of computation that's externalized in COT. And therefore, it's going to be monitorable. So that's the first reason. The second reason why we should expect COT to be monitorable is that agents will have a tendency to externalize their plans. The first claim was more theoretical. This one is more empirical. We do see in practice that even if you instruct a language model to suppress some information from the COT, models are often unable to do so. My math scholar, Chen, is now leading a project investigating to what extent this actually holds across models. So it seems that the COT of current models are reasonably monitorable, but this might not hold indefinitely. And there are at least 4 reasons why we might expect COT of models to stop being monitorable. The first one is that as you do high computer post-training, COTs might naturally drift away from legible English. And we already see models using words in idiosyncratic ways. It's just unclear to what extent it actually hampers our ability to monitor them. A second reason is that we might be applying direct optimization pressure on COTs, namely optimizing COTs to look nice. Recent work by my OpenAI colleague, Bowen Baker, has suggested that if you use a COT monitor as a reward model during training, you compromise monitorability. And even if we don't apply direct optimization pressure, we might still indirectly optimize COT through various ways. And it's just unclear to what extent it hampers our ability to monitor them at scale. And finally, probably most worrying is that we as a field might move away from transformers towards other architectures that do more sophisticated reasoning in latent space, and that will no longer be monitorable. Most policy interventions around COT monitorability have complex trade-offs. But I think that there are at least 2 ideas that seems to be robustly good and seem to be lacking any significant downsides. And this is just developing measures for COT monitorability and using those measures and training and deployment decisions. And it's very nice recently to see those considerations being discussed in system cards of models from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google DeepMind. So to sum up, the claim I wanted to make is that chain of thought monitoring is a promising approach to mitigating misalignment risk. But this opportunity is fragile. It might slip away. So we should seize it while it lasts. And we should try to extend this window of opportunity where COT is monitorable. This talk was based on a position paper I wrote with Mikita Beliesny, and we are advised by Bowen Baker, Vlad Mikulik, and Rohan Shah. Thank you.